Hello, welcome to another episode of Tiny Nest. I'm Kiva.
And I'm Jake. This series is following our tiny house project from the early stages through to completion and beyond.
In this episode, we do a walkthrough of the lighting, control, and the other stuff that we've roughed in.
Alright, so here's a little walkthrough of all the lighting locations. In the kitchen, there's going to be 3 spots where we have like upper cabinets. We've got a cable for 1 light per under cabinet. On the same zone as the kitchen's lighting, we're going to have some lights that illuminate the landing that you come up to when you're entering a loft. And because we're going to have cabinets probably out to about here and then like a little pathway in between, we've got a cable on each side with tons of slack that's going to be sort of buried in the cabinet, and then we just need to run the cable through the cabinet and we can poke it out, say up here, and have the light strips up in the corner illuminating down. Once in the loft, we've got a cable on each side of the window for a strip to come down. And we've got switch boxes, 1 for each of us on each side of the window. And then we've got 1 that can be a horizontal strip down at our feet. In the shower, we're going to have strips that come down on either side like this. So we've got cables ready to go that can be entered into this framing once we get that in. Likewise, in the toilet room, the sink is going to be here. So we want to have strips that come down this way. So we've got 2 cables, again, to be entered into the framing once we get it in. In the TV/living room, we're going to have some strips that go in down like between the joists. So we've got the cables sticking out for that, and then it's going to be every second joist. So this one actually we've staggered it and we have it starting on the other end. For switching the LED lights, this is by far the most crazy switch bank in the whole house. Most spots are just going to have 1 of these vapor booths and 1 plate. There's so much here because this is the entrance, so you're in the kitchen, you have control of the outside lights, and then if you say forgot to turn off the TV room light as you leave, you can press it. So we've got lots of capacity to add switches here and spread them out over 2 things. And then of course this is just the regular electrical light as a backup. But each switch box for the low voltage stuff has 2 Cat6 cables ready to go. Each Cat6 cable has 8 tiny wires in it, so we've got 16 wires to play with. And the blue one is designated for actually sending the signal that we're pushing a button. And then the white one is actually going to be for power coming back, because we've got our little push buttons have a little LED ring light. So when you push a button to turn on a light, the computer is going to light up the button to give you feedback that that light that corresponds with that button is on. We've also got a spot ready to go here that we can drill through the back of to get out to where the awning is, and we're going to set it up in such a way that it can be easily disconnected if we need to take the awning off. But we're going to run strip lights down the 2 edges of the awning. And we've got the Cat6 cable here for a motion sensor, and hopefully if that works, as you approach the house, those lights will fade up.
There's also a couple extra lighting features that we're going to save for later.
We've also got a cable here that could power a little fan that could either sit in front or slide down in front of the shower or the window in the shower room here to help exhaust some of the steam. And then there's a whole bundle of cables here to allow for a heat exchanger that's going to be directly above here. And because this is going to have a panel that can be removed, they're just bundled up here so we can just drill through and pass them through and do that at a later date. This is the bundle for the buttons to turn the light on and off in the shower. And they're just coiled up here because, again, we don't have the framing in place, so we're going to need to pass that into the framing once it's there. And this is the same type of bundle for the toilet room. It's ready to go to be added into the framing once it's put in place. We've also put in speaker cabling for the TV sort of entertainment station here, the nerd station as we call it. So the TV is going to be here, so we've got a 5.1 surround system with cables coming to here and here for the 2 fronts. I've got 1 down here, so I may just put the center one like underneath my desk. And then we've got the rear ones here and in that corner. So it's a nice evenly spread out surround system. And they all come to this box down here because we're planning on putting the subwoofer, which is where all this like field speakers get connected, and that's going to sit here underneath some shelving. I stumbled upon this stuff at Home Depot. It's called ENT, electrical non-metallic tubing, and it's just like a plastic corrugated tube, and there's 1/2 inch and 3/4, so we got 3/4, because this is probably where we're going to be passing like USB cables or like HDMI and that kind of thing, so we want to be able to get the ends through. And in some cases we've even gone with 2 parallel runs to make sure there's enough for if we have a lot of cables and stuff. So we've got interconnections for, you know, getting from the computer's audio out to the speaker over there, and then maybe say the Nintendo thing can come back to the TV. Up here there could be like a webcam or an external hard drive we'll tuck away, and then we'll need to connect to the control system to the computer, and the modem will be here too, so we can run the internet cable through it and just hide any and all wiring. And we don't have absolutely everything nailed down of what's going in there, but we've just put all this pathway so that we've got tons of options for that. And then here we've got a path to outside, and it goes to a box underneath the flange there, so we could actually connect to equipment outside. And you might be wondering what we would put out there, but you'll see when the time comes for that. And it also acts, this box here acts as sort of a pull box to get from the computer to the control panel here, and then also down. And it's all, this is sort of all for data connections, and then this one is separate for power, for like low voltage power. So this is where we might eventually tie into some batteries or some solar stuff that will probably be outside, and then we pull the power in. Or alternatively, we could send power out to like if we needed a pump for the wastewater, something like that. So we got a separate power one, and then all this data stuff over here. And we just put it into these vapor boots the same way that we're putting the boots in for the little push buttons for the lights. You could get little connector ends and then put it into a proper box and everything, but they're actually kind of expensive, and I find that these vapor boots have lots of volume in them, and when you're dealing with a bunch of data cables and stuff, it's a real hassle to try to cram it all into it if we were getting like a plastic box that was narrower. So figured it would be just as easy and useful in the end product to just poke the ends of the tubes right through the plastic and just secure them nearby so that they're not flopping around. Everything's pretty solid enough for what it's going to be used for. Another little detail we've put in is a little 1/4 inch drainage tube that pokes out where the dehumidifier is going to sit, and then it runs down to underneath the sink so that we could potentially have it drain automatically.
If you want to see some of our previous videos, click on the preview tiles, and subscribe if you want to follow our progress. You can also visit our website here.
Again?
Yeah.